is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are FC.
Royals baseball from downtown Houston. Game 3 of 4 with the Astros. This series is tied at 1 game apiece. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. The Royals are 5-2 to begin the season, but it really hasn't been an easy 5-2.
No, it hasn't. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because it's exciting baseball, but winning baseball. A characteristic that they have by winning these one-run games, developed in 2014, is a wonderful thing to have. You got hitters that don't know how to shorten up. They put the ball in play. They get that lead. And once they make those adjustments at home, and it sure helps when you have a Gore to score, a speed weapon like him, it's up to the pen to win. You got to have a bullpen. You got to have that strength, and that's the modern game's whole recipe is what do you got? And the Royals, they got ice water in their veins. Even though it was a struggle for Davis, they've got what it takes to finish the game, the pen to win.
And our Toyota League leader showing us that even though it's early, the Royals have twice as many one-run victories than any other team in the major leagues. Tonight it's Yordano Ventura taking the mound, and we'll talk more about him when we come back. And the Houston Astros. You know, a lot of times when a young player becomes successful in the big leagues, he will say, you know, I simplified things. But for Yordano Ventura last year, maybe he oversimplified.
He did. Always working on something, these players, young or old, it doesn't matter. It's a game of adjustments, and you hear that. Last year, he had a step forward before he started his windup. And what they found out was causing is his arm slot wasn't able to be in the position that he needed to be in. This year, he takes a step back. And Therefore, he's able to get his arm slot in with the same rotation and the same slot that he feels comfortable. And that's the main thing. You want him to be comfortable. He feels good and made the adjustment.
Scott Feldman will pitch for the Astros tonight. He's had trouble with 2 Royals hitters in the past. We'll discuss that after this. Home run last night, and our Kubota power stats shows us that Kane has excellent numbers against Astros starter Scott Feldman tonight. He'll bat third, and the Royals number 6 hitter Alex Gordon has done the same, so we'll keep an eye on them. The first pitch is coming up next. Royals baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. The roof has been closed now for all 3 games of this series. Fourth and final game will be tomorrow night. Then the Royals will head to Oakland. Royals starting lineup tonight is the same as last night, and that means Paulo Orlando will be in right field, as Ned Yost has just been picking his spots, finding the right matchups, deciding whether Orlando or Fuentes will be in right field. And we hear that Gerard Dyson should be rejoining the Royals soon.
Yeah, and you know, we talked about it. That's usually a gut feel a manager has, but also he's going on matchups, and just the fact that Paulo has been very active and been very energetic, and he puts the ball in play, and he's been getting the job done. Hope it continues.
Here is big, as in 6'7", Scott Feldman, 33 years old, making his second start of the year.
Well, he's a veteran guy, and when he's on his game, he can really give fits to the hitters. His cut fastball is his best pitch. It's a cutter in on lefties, and he'll throw it away to righties. And he'll use his straight four-seamer as well. Big curveball he'll mix in, and then occasional split finger changeup combination is a pitch that he'll just show. It's a little show-me pitch. But mainly cutters, curveballs from this big fella here. Keeps the ball down, he sinks it. He's a ground ball pitcher.
Alcides Escobar is 3 for 9 in this series. He has scored a run. He scored that last night. And he grounds it out to the shortstop Correa. Sounded like Escobar broke his back. Feldman gets the first out, which is 1 pitch. And a look at the Astros defensively. Rasmus, Gomez, and Springer in the outfield. Balbuena, Correa, Altuve, White around the horn. And Jason Castro is back at the plate. Castro started game 1 and back there again tonight. So Correa is tested right away. He throws out Escobar, and now he shifts over to the right side against Mike Moustakas.
That's exactly what he does. He throws a lot of ground balls. They just try to see him up. For a sinker baller like that, you want to see that pitch about waist high. It's going to be good to hit. If it comes out around thigh high, it's going to be in the dirt. So that's what they'll be looking for tonight. Look him up.
Curveball is low.
Not overpowering. Fastball is going to average right at 90. He'll go 88 to 90. Slight pull to Moose. Moose loves it. Like to see him get hot and start going the other way, but they've been pitching him inside, and he'll hurt him in there if they keep doing that. They're going to leave something out over. He hit the ball hard last night 3 times. He had 1 base hit, but he's just really close to getting up underneath that. They're living dangerously when they're pitching him inside.
Taking all the way, 3-1.
There's the breakdown, the percentage of pitches that he throws. They got everything nowadays, all the stats.
And talking with Brent Strom about the cut fastball, that percentage really went up for him last year. He threw that pitch about 1/3 of the time before last year, then 43%. And it was actually Feldman who went to Brent Strom, the former Royals pitching coach, and said, hey, I want to throw this pitch more often. I don't want to just throw it to lefties. I want to throw it to righties as well. And Brent said Feldman's been around, so he said, all right, let's work with that. And there it is. Springer on the run, dives, and he didn't get it. And the Royals will have a runner in scoring position with 1 out.
Moose looking inside, got his second double. He hit it off the end of his bat, or else that would have been a souvenir and a solo homer. But there it is. He's looking in there, and they're going to keep pitching him in there. They're going to get in trouble with that because Moose is about ready to get loose. Springer, great idea. Okay, you know he's not going to get more than a double, so why not help your pitcher out there and give it that effort? It's a good try.
And now Lorenzo Cain in the first inning last night. Cain took Mike Fiers deep to left field for a 3-run home run. His second home run of the year.
It's birthday boy. Anyway, hey, Locaine. Go ahead. Perfect night, too.
That cutter's in for a strike. Lorenzo is 30 today.
I was surprised. Goldberg has a surprise for us later in the broadcast. He went down and did some exhaustive research before the game. It's a little teaser.
And that's over the outside, 1-2.
So like guys that have a split finger, you see what he's doing in his glove there. He's going right to the split finger grip. And the guys that are tall, that have long fingers, throw that pitch better than guys with short fingers, because they can really get on the side of that baseball and make it sink down.
Two down. Feldman's first strikeout.
Cutters.
And now Eric Hosmer. He's had a good series, going 4 for 8 in the first 2 games, trying to drive in Moustakas from second base with 2 down.
Ooh. Haas gave Castro a little shot in the mask there with his backswing. Haas' little love tap. Didn't mean anything by it.
Curveball for a strike.
Whoops. Oh, excuse me, sir. Didn't mean that.
He sure has a strange way of showing love.
Yeah,
it's a love tap.
Well, you know, I'm sure Castro knew it was an accident.
Slash foul into the second deck. 0-2.
Haas trying to make some adjustments himself. Told me today that he's pretty pleased with his lower half. He's picking up his foot and setting it down. He said he's working with his hands, trying to get them in a more comfortable position. He's not real comfortable with his hand position. So we'll keep an eye on his upper half.
One ball and 2 strikes. He doesn't pump that lower hand like he used to. He would kind of use that as a timing mechanism. He's always seems to be holding the bat the whole time with his top hand, but his bottom hand, he does it a lot less there, but there's some timing involved there to make sure he's got the right grip at the right time.
Yeah, so right at the release point, he's waving those fingers. So hitters do that as a reminder to stay loose on the bat. I don't think he fouled that one off.
He did not. Probably going to be a pass ball that caught a lot of Castro's glove.
Castro's saying, what was that?
And it is a pass ball.
It looked like he fouled it off. It's hard to see because Hosmer's bat's the same color as Castro's glove, brown. Tough to pick up there. Who's checking out the third baseman, Valbuena? Just making sure he doesn't sneak in there for a pickoff.
Curveball strikes out Hosmer. Feldman strikes out 2 after the Moustakas 1-out double. third straight pitcher the Royals face in the series that did not pitch well in his first start. He has a scoreless top of the first inning. And here's the lineup Yordano Ventura will face. Try and keep Jose Altuve off the bases. Altuve's off to a very good start in the important categories for a leadoff man: getting on base, scoring runs, and stealing bases. 6 stolen bases, 9 runs scored already. Yordano Ventura is coming off a 6-walk start on Friday against Minnesota, but the Twins only had 2 at-bats with a runner in scoring position. So they only scored 2 runs over those 5 innings.
He had excellent stuff. Command was a little bit off at times, but we all know what he possesses, and that is a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, curveball, and changeup. Sometimes he'll mix in a cutter once in a while, but it's not by design. Dave Island does not want him throwing any cutters, and the reasons is he doesn't need it. He's got 3 weapons. Some pitchers can get away with 2. Chris Young throws 2 without 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
We had that discussion the other night that, just because you can throw a pitch doesn't mean you should. I mean, only throw it if it's a good pitch, if it's an effective pitch. Two years ago, almost exactly 2 years ago, Yordano Ventura got his first big league win here. High strike, 2-2. Goes deep to cut it off. Altuve to second with a leadoff double.
Fastballs down the middle, short, compact swing. That's what's going to hurt Ventura if he's in the middle of the plate. Very good hitting and great aggressive base running. I love that. He's thinking 2 all the way. Orlando does a great job of getting to it with his speed. But this young man here says, you're going to have to make a perfect throw to throw me out. Look how he hit that. He changed gears quickly.
But I noticed too, you don't see a catcher emphasize location with his target as much as Salvi did with that pitch. I mean, he was like telling Ventura, make sure this is down and away. Make sure it's down and away. Now, 2 or 3 times he put his glove out there.
There's where he wants it right there. That's a perfect spot if he can stay there. Yeah, Salvi, he's going like, all right, come on now. Just hit my glove. And it was elevated about 3 inches from where he wanted it. Hitters look for half-inch mistakes, let alone 3-inch mistake.
Curveball, and it's quickly 0-2 on Springer. Springer has 4 hits in the first 2 games and has driven in a run. Three pitches, down he goes. That was Ventura's changeup. He really used his changeup effectively and more often than he normally does in a start against Minnesota.
It's a great pitch for him, especially for a guy that throws 97 miles an hour, 96. I mean, that really throws the timing off of the hitter, and it tells me that Springer was guessing there.
Okay, so 25% on Friday against Minnesota. All of last year, Ventura used his changeup about 14%. Now Carlos Correa.
Now, you talked about he making his major league debut as a starter here, and
first win.
I mean, his first win. Nolan Ryan was sitting in the back of the screen, the same place he's sitting tonight. And I went up to him the next day and asked him what he thought of our young guy. And he was very impressed with his changeup.
2 down. Altuve goes to third.
He said the fact that this kid threw 20–30% changeups was impressive in his first major league win. Nolan said he didn't develop his changeup till halfway through his career. He said, I would have loved to have had that pitch earlier, but it's a field pitch, and Ryan that threw 100, he didn't need it. He just threw fastball, curveball, a couple of little sliders.
I was kind of hoping you were going to do your Nolan Ryan impersonation.
Rex, he looks like the real deal.
That's right. That's the one I remember. Colby Rasmus can't lay off the curveball. He's down 0-1. And now Ford shows us the Royals defensively. Gordon, Kane, Orlando in the outfield. On the infield, Moustakas, Escobar, Infante, and Hosmer. Salvador Perez is behind the plate. Lorenzo Cain is 30 years old today. Looked like a swing, and it was. So he is not picking up that curveball.
And you can't give him any fastballs down the middle. As hot as he is against the Royals, smart pitching. If you're going to throw him that fastball, throw it above the belt. See if you can get him on a strikeout there, but if not, give him another curve in the dirt.
Three in a row. Why not?
Well, the fact that Altuve and Moustakas is way off in the hole over there at shortstop, and Altuve is getting a huge lead down there, and this guy right here, he could attempt to steal home as far as Moose is off. So he's watching it. He's watching Moustakas, and he's going to get it off as far as Moose will give him. And he bluffed on the last pitch like he was going to steal home.
Four straight curveballs. So both pitchers work around a double in the first inning. Both pitchers strike out 2 in the first inning. Against Yordano Ventura in the first inning, but he buckled down, retiring the next 3 and striking out 2. So no score with Kendrys Morales, Alex Gordon, and Salvador Perez. Against Scott Feldman, he worked around a 1-out double in the top of the first. Morales hammered his second home run of the year on Monday night, the Astros home opener.
Smart a hitter as he is, he's going to try to think keeping his hands inside the ball and shoot it over the left field porch. That's the right approach against a sinker baller. You don't want to roll over, you'll hit a grounder. And he's such a smart hitter at making adjustments. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he hits Feldman hard to the opposite field. Sinker ball pitchers love guys that try to pull him.
A little bit outside, 2 balls and 1 strike. And Feldman is hoping that Morales will pull him with 3 infielders in between first and second base. There you go, Hud. Good call.
Get up.
Goes the other way. And off the wall. Good call.
I could tell by his approach how smart a hitter he is, and the fact that at first swing he was taking the shot that way. Smart hitter. Little bit more oomph, a little bit more of the squared up the middle of the ball. That's a homer. See how he's keeping his hands inside and using it. That ball looked like a pop-up, but you know, just like Fenway Park, that works. That plays. Rasmus lost track of it off the wall.
Just 315 up the left field line. And then mostly fair dimensions for the rest of the ballpark. Cutter is high and ball 1 to Alex Gordon. And then, as Hud pointed out on Monday night, just because it hits the wall, that really doesn't mean anything. You don't know how it's going to come out of that wall because of all the grooves related to that manual scoreboard.
Yeah, all the stripes in between the scores, between the numbers, is metal. So no telling where it hits. It can bounce, kick right, can kick left. Just hope we don't see an outfielder run into it.
That's high, 2-0. Alex has been on base 4 times in the first 2 games. 3 hits, a double, a walk, and he has stolen a base. And we told you before the first pitch that he and Lorenzo Cain in particular have done very well in the past against Feldman. Got the call. Looks like a pitcher friendly strike zone from Eric Cooper. 10 hits and 23 at bats.
It's the mental approach. It's thinking the opposite field, reacting in. Moustakas, he knew they're pitching him inside, so he's looking in there. But Alex is going to try to do what Morales did.
1 down.
Didn't happen. Got on his hands. Just got in on it.
Salvi is hitless in the first 2 games. Infield shifts over to the left, and that's a little pop up to the right side, and Castro makes the play. So leadoff double and 2 pop-ups, and Morales is still standing at second base.
Alex had the right idea, but he hit it in the air. He couldn't get the ground ball over. Of course, that wouldn't have scored. Morales on a sac fly there.
So it's up to Omar Infante. Two out of 8 for Infante in the first 2 games with a double. Castro hesitated before returning the ball to Feldman. He was expecting that pitch was going to be called a strike.
Could have been.
Out to Correa. Inning over. So both teams in the last 2 half innings waste a leadoff double. No score. In the first 3 half innings, all doubles, but no score. Time for our sprint trivia question. Yordano Ventura won his first major league game at Minute Maid Park. Who is the only other Royal to earn his first win at Minute Maid?
I mean, how are we supposed to know that without digging up the goods on the computer?
Here's what happened. You've been here long enough. You know how this works.
Okay.
We get 1 or 2 right, and then we take our ball and we go home. That's how they play in the truck.
Wow.
Because if we asked them that question, they'd have no idea
Exactly.
either.
Thank you.
Wham. 2-0 on Tyler White.
Glad you got that off your chest.
Yeah. I got one for the guys in the truck. How many blades of grass on the Minute Maid infield?
There you go.
Come on.
Or how many grapefruits or oranges are in the train above the tracks up there?
Yeah. Right. Like it. Three and 1 on Tyler White. Still leading the league in hitting. 33rd round pick from 3 years ago. Also leading the league in slugging percentage. Tied for the league lead in hits and RBIs. Full count. And again, it is a pitcher friendly strike zone so far. Let's Motor player profile brought to you by BMW Mini. So drafted just 3 years ago, but the 997th player taken. Western Carolina University, which also produced Greg Holland. And he was a walk-on there. Foul tip. And it popped out of Salvi's glove. Other players also taken in 2013. Chris Bryant, who was the National League Rookie of the Year last year.
There you go.
2nd overall. John Gray of the Rockies, 3rd overall. We saw Michael Lorenzen last year with the Reds. And then all the way down to 997. Tyler White. Hits it right to Escobar. 1 out. Speaking of 997, here's Joel.
Well, of course, Ryan had a chance to talk with Salvador Perez about Yordano Ventura, and he said, you know, when he goes and talks to Yordano out on the mound, in the bullpen, he doesn't want to throw too much information at him. Try to keep it simple. But the one message he likes to stay focused on and bring up is trying to throw curveballs and changeups when you're behind in the count. Not be so predictable to have them up there looking for the fastball. We just saw that he threw a 2-1 changeup to White there, just to keep those hitters off balance a little bit. If you look at the numbers last year, it was about 24% of the time that he threw changeups and curveballs, even less to righties. So clearly that message is the case right now for Yordano Ventura. And by the way, I'm just curious, Hud, how often do you break out that computer and actually look for those answers?
Well, Joel, you know,
or does somebody do it for you?
No, I used to kind of sneak, especially when I first got here, because I didn't know a whole lot of Royals history, so I didn't want to, you know, seem completely out of it. So I would kind of sneak my little iPad here and just kind of, you know, Google something.
Joel, do you know the answer
to the blades of grass? Because I started trying to count them.
Do you know the answer to the trivia question?
I do not. It's going to be something tricky. I mean,
how about a year? Can we get a year?
But Ryan, you do know that you have to try to get inside Al's head, and sometimes it's Dave Holtzman, so you got to try to figure out how their brains are working.
And we'll just leave it at that. Carlos Gomez with 1 on, 1 out. Hit hard to Infante. Escobar running, receiving, and throwing at the same time.
That was sweet. Infante was able to snag it on the hop. The ball hopped up on him. Watch this last hop. Pulled it up. Beautiful. Nice soft hands around that infield. Beautiful roll.
Up in the top of the 3rd inning. Those two met as they were walking into the stadium tonight. What about that?
Lucky him.
Yeah. Paulo Orlando leads off, and there's a cutter for a strike from Scott Feldman. Paulo was in the lineup last night and was 1 for 3 with an infield single, and he's off to a .364 start. Showing bunt.
Good idea against a sinker slider guy, cutter. Feldman used to throw sidearm when he got to the big leagues with the Texas Rangers. In 07, he switched from sidearm delivery to more of a 3/4 type on top arm angle. Yeah. He had a hard time locating his pitches when he was throwing sidearm and almost underhand. And then, you know, he moved his arm angle up. He got a little bit more on top of the ball, had a little bit more downward sink, a little bit more sink to the ball, and he was more successful. And he got better movement on his cutter from up here than down on the side. So it was a good adjustment for him.
Good take. 2-2 on Paulo.
But he likes to get the hitters to hit that ball on the ground.
Still 2-2. Cutter. Kind of like facing McHugh the other night, where he's got a good slider and a good curveball working. That's his third strikeout. Royals fans share in the World Series victory. Shop the official fan collection of fine jewelry and collectibles. Make sure to check out these exclusive items online at royals.com/fanrings. And now Alcides Escobar, he swung at the first pitch and grounded out to short. On the ground to Valbuena. 2 down.
Royals offense not going to have a lot of success if they keep trying to pull him. I know that's the tendency for every hitter. You like to jump out there and you feel the strongest when you're trying to pull the ball, but they're going to have to wait on him and try to slap it the other way and then react in. You can react with quick hands inside if he makes a mistake in there, but take a page from Morales. Now Moose, they're trying to pitch him up and in. They think they can jam him. He hit a double his first time up, and the defense is playing him accordingly. He's right here on that whole side there.
One ball, one strike. That's the key pitch for him, that curveball. In my chat with Brent Strom before the game tonight, he was saying that if he has his cutter working and his curveball, he's a handful. The cutter.
Well, let's see if they can, get a hit and start stringing some hits together. Did Brent Strom, after he talked to you, tell you what he said to me after I was done with him? What, are you going to go over there and share that with Ned?
No,
I said, you know what, Mr. Strom, out of respect for the world champion manager, he doesn't need my scouting report.
He say that to you?
Yeah, and that's what I told him. So that's kind of disrespectful to Ned. He's not relying on me. He's got his people, man. I need help on the broadcast.
Full count on Moustakas with Kane next. Had him reaching. Springer comes up in right field, and that's the inning. Feldman has his first 1-2-3 inning. No score to the bottom of the third inning. We had a lot of scoring in the early innings in the first two games. Our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, only the Seattle Mariners have more strikeouts amongst their pitching staff than the Royals with 77. Yordan Ventura has 2 tonight after striking out 6 on Friday against Minnesota.
Well, you know, good for them, but hasn't done much for their win-loss record, though. The M's coming into tonight are 2-6, 3-6.
They beat the Rangers earlier today,
and they've got a win at Safeco.
Very high in the air to center field. Good spot where Lorenzo Cain doesn't have to deal with those bright lights.
That last double play in the last inning that Giordano rolled and Infante made such a great start to it. It was interesting to watch Escobar, how now there's no neighborhood around second base. No neighborhood. You can't just drag your feet. Escobar had to stay on the base. See that? He had to step on the base and then jump over the runner. Typically, Escobar will drag that right foot across the corner and turn it, but he's going to have to alter his style a little bit because he's got to stay on the bag.
Low to Jason Castro. Astros off to a slow start. He was hitless in the Astros' first 6 games, and he's 1 for 4 in this series. Three and 0. Four hits against Ventura, all singles. And Castro is on. Remember, if you can watch the games on TV, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Royals wherever you go. How about that, Royals fans? Great seats right behind the Royals dugout.
Heads up now, there's no netting there. Be careful on them phones.
Inside to Altuve. Ventura and Salvador Perez tried to go down and away on Altuve in the first inning, and Ventura left it up out of the plate, and Altuve led off the first with a double, but did not score. High changeup. 2-0.
He's falling behind hitters now in this inning.
Right center field, slicing, and that helps out Paulo Orlando. 2 down, and Castro's back at first base. Bottom of the third, no score. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery. The Astros won Monday 8-2 in their home opener. The Royals bounced back and won last night 4-2. So the Royals had lost 4 consecutive regular season games here. Going back to last season, during the postseason, they had one of their biggest wins here, Game 4 of the division series. 2 down to George Springer. And Ventura only needed 3 pitches to strike out Springer in the first inning and eventually put him away with a changeup.
So Springer says, I'm going to get his first pitch. He's coming in with a fastball. Good rip. He likes to take the pack now. He doesn't get cheated. A couple of base hits to left field in last night's game.
One and one.
I've noticed a difference in Salvador Perez so far early this season, and it's how he's setting up. Catching instructor Pedro Gafal is in his 4th year with the Royals, 2nd full season as the club's catching coach, told me before the game that Salvi's creating different angles on the corners. He's setting his big body up on the outside, and it appears to the umpire, as big as Salvi is, he's able to set up on that outside corner and square it up, and it presents a better look to the umpire, and hoping he gets more calls in the corner. So Salvador Perez and Pedro Gafal working all the time to try to improve, and you'd say, wow, Salvi's a 3-time Gold Glove winner. What does he need to improve on? Always working is Salvador, and this gentleman right here. Notice the difference. He's shifting a lot more back there.
Line to Lorenzo Cain. So Ventura gets around the 1-out walk. Speaking of Salvi and Cain, we have a treat for you when we come back for the next half inning.
Feliz cumpleaños, Lorenzo Cain. Feliz cumpleaños, Lorenzo Cain. Feliz cumpleaños, hermanito Lolo. Feliz cumpleaños, Lorenzo Cain.
Gracias.
Yeah. He loved me.
There we go. Our Mazda game break. Feliz cumpleaños from the little brother Salvador to the big brother Lorenzo. That was part of the conversation. You know, they've got that sort of Abbott and Costello minus the who's on first routine that seems to go very well on social media. And Salvi says, what do you want for your birthday from me? And Lorenzo says, I want some cake and ice cream tonight after the game, whether we win or lose. And Lorenzo says, well, we have to win. And you have to hit a couple homers and maybe steal a couple bases.
Joel, you're right on that, but it's a lot better from Salvi.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. Come on, let's get him to roll that. All right, here we go.
You know, for the third floor, you 30.
You're gonna make fun of me, huh?
What do you want for gift from me?
I want a cake and I want some ice cream right after the game. Win or lose, I need a cake.
No. That don't work like that. You gotta win today, and you gotta play good. Couple homers, couple bases, steal some base, and you maybe gonna get your cake and your ice cream.
I can't promise you anything, but you need to promise me cake and ice cream.
You need to promise something. You're gonna play hard.
All right, I play hard. I give you all I got, but I can't promise anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a fair ball, and it gets up the line. Rasmus is right there and makes a strong throw, and Eric Hosmer is on with a one-out single.
So I guess the deal now is as long as he plays hard, he will get some cake and ice cream. And he also said, Salvi said to him, now that you're 30, he said you're officially on the third floor, which Monty pointed out on the pregame show that I and you, for that matter, Ryan, are on the fourth floor, and I guess that means Hud and Monty are on the fifth floor.
Yep.
I've never heard it put like that.
On the fifth floor, or in our case, the fourth floor, and carrying.
Yeah. Hey. I like being on the fifth floor. There's nothing wrong with that.
Does anyone remember where the root of all this is? What was the first social media Lorenzo Cain, Salvador Perez incident that started Salvi's fascination with the life of Lorenzo Cain?
I don't know, but what I do know is a few years ago in Texas, Salvador said to me, and he was still very much working on his English, I need the microphone, and proceeded to interview Kelvin Herrera, who was also very much working on his English. That's where the TV career and the interviewing began.
Two and one to Kendrys Morales. He doubled leading off the second inning and never got to third as Feldman buckled down and got a couple of pop outs and a ground out. Just out in front enough, and Gomez will make the play. Hosmer's back to first, and they're two down. Don't forget about Zuba's Palooza Day, Friday, April 22nd. A theme ticket will feature a one-of-a-kind World Series champion themed Royals Zuba's pants, and a game ticket. Packages start at just $26. You can purchase now while supplies last at royals.com/theme tickets. So that's a week from Friday. That'll be the Royals and the Orioles.
Zubas make any top look good. Whatever you want to wear, it goes with them.
Breaking ball. Alex swings over it. Feldman got Alex to pop to second in the second inning, right after the Morales leadoff double. Orioles, by the way, are down 4-2. It's still early, fifth inning. Baltimore is off to a 7-0 start. Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You'd think the Royals hitters would have a pretty good idea about Feldman being the third starter here they faced, that all very similar. McHugh had big curve and cutters. Fires last night had fastballs and curve and cutters. Same thing now with Feldman.
Well, this is an approach that can give the Royals a bad time. I think the league knows now that even if you have an above average fastball, just attacking the Royals with fastballs more times than not is not going to work. Especially if you're thinking you're going to just jump ahead with a fastball and be 0-1. The Royals are ready to swing at the very first pitch of every at bat.
Now the great rotation that the Mets have, they found that out in the World Series. Remember the New York media calling and asking me, what's your offense going to do against our great aces? We just blew right by the Cubs. And I said, well, I hate to tell you this, but the Royals, they're about 10 or 15 games over 500 against pitchers that throw 95 plus. They love those fastballs.
How about a hanger? And he got it down, and he got the strikeout. 4 strikeouts for Feldman in 4 scoreless innings. All strikeouts with breaking balls. Royals baseball is brought to you by your local Kansas City area Chevy dealers. Visit for great prices on all the new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 Kansas City metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. And it's nice outdoors. However, the roof has remained closed for each of the first 3 games of this series. Which makes it much louder in here. Weather's not bad though, at least for Houston.
No, it's cool outside.
Temperatures in the low 80s.
Cool for them.
Carlos Correa leads off against Yordano Ventura. Fastball with movement for a strike. Correa rounded out to Infante at second base in the first inning. 4 hits and 2 RBIs for Correa in this series. Changeup a little bit outside, 1-1. Of the 12 batters Ventura has faced, 9 have seen a first pitch strike.
Yeah, he likes that. Want to get ahead of those hitters. It's the changeup and the curve. If he has good command with those 2 pitches, makes the fastball even better.
Fastball down and away at 97.
Perfect spot. Notice how Salvador Perez is splitting the outside part of the plate with his body, creating good angles, making it appear better than it really is.
Again, emphasizing down and away. Caught the plate. Paulo Orlando to the wall. He's got it. And Ventura and Salvador Perez, as soon as the ball was caught, were chatting about the location and the pitch selection.
That was in the middle. It was down, fortunately. If it's up another inch, it might have left the yard. Correa's really good at using the whole field. He's not a dead pull hitter. He's saying, whew, yeah, we got away with one there.
Let's see if Colby Rasmus gets a curveball. Nope. Heater at 97. That's all he saw when he struck out to end the bottom of the first inning. Late. 1-1.
First time up, nothing but a steady diet of him, like you said. He's jumping out there a little bit, looking for that fastball, and never got one. Ooh, beauty.
Now Kane into right center field. 2 fly ball outs for Ventura in the 4th inning.
Throw a hitter like that first time up, nothing but curve, curve, curve. You know, he still was looking for that fastball, but it threw his timing off enough to where he hit it off the end of his bat. So continue to mix up the pitches on Rasmus. I think Ventura's past the stage of, I'm going to challenge you and blow it by you.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, the great Nolan Ryan sitting back of the plate. He used to call that pitch a bow tie.
And then back with a changeup at the knees over the outside. Ventura's got that look in his eye tonight. Mad at himself after that last pitch. Remember, he walked 6 in his last start. It was the 3rd time he's done that in his career. After the first 2 times he walked 6, he bounced back nicely, so he recovered quickly. He didn't let one bad game with walks turn into another one. And tonight he has walked 1 in 3 2/3. Changeup is away, and now it's 3-1 on White.
Salvador Perez, in a sense, is a second pitching coach. I mean, he knows what Dave Island tells him to go over scouting reports before every game. But he knows firsthand what the pitcher's doing because he sees him, he's catching him. So after that last pitch, look at him, hit his shoulder, he punched his shoulder, and then he watched his hand. Sees his shoulder, yep, you're up under the ball. He's pointing to his shoulder, it leaked out, so you leave that ball up.
.97 miles an hour out of play. Ventura has not had to face more than 4 batters in any inning yet. And here is pitch number 50. And White's giving him a bad time. He is fouled off 5 in this at bat.
Kid looks good, man. He's in a tree right now. He's red hot or white hot. He's using the whole field. He's full of confidence right now. He's riding a good wave.
Change up.
Ooh, welcome to the big leagues.
3 strikeouts for Ventura. No score at the end of 4. With 4 scoreless innings, 3 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Up against Scott Feldman, who has pitched 4 scoreless innings with 4 strikeouts and no walks. Ventura, for a second consecutive start, has had a very good changeup. Chatting with Salvador Perez, who in a flash has his bat and his helmet on, and now he's in the batter's box. How does he do it?
He's cat-like quick. You've seen him move.
Salvador was a big out for Feldman in the 2nd inning. Morales doubled leading off the inning, and then Feldman got Gordon to pop out and Perez to foul out. 2 balls and no strikes. Perez, Infante, and Orlando in the 5th inning. Into center field. Gomez is there and makes a play. Tough hitting luck for Salvi. Speaking of tough luck, if it's not bad enough that the Minnesota Twins are 0-7, they have lost Glenn Perkins to the disabled list. Perkins, remember, had a 2-run lead on Sunday going into the 9th inning. The Royals tied it and won it in 10. A strained left shoulder puts Perkins on the shelf. Our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Minnesota and the Chicago White Sox are scoreless in Minnesota at the end of 4 as the Twins are still going for their first win. They were the closest to the Royals in the standings last year. Infante takes a strike. Omar rolled out to shortstop in the 2nd inning. This has been a tough matchup for him. Infante is just 1 for 12 against Feldman. Base hit left field. And that's all the way to the wall. Rasmus is on it quickly, but Infante is into second base with his second double of this series. And the Royals have 2 good swings against Feldman to begin the 5th inning.
Yep, it's a big curveball that stayed up. You'll notice breaking ball starts up at shoulder height, ends up belt high. Good swing.
And now Paulo Orlando. Feldman got him with a slider in the 3rd inning. Well, in this ballpark, if there was a such thing as arena baseball, this is the place where the scoring would be higher than normal. And we had 10 runs scored in game 1. Last night we had 5 runs scored in the 1st inning. And now we've gone 12 innings without anybody scoring. 3rd time the Royals have had a runner in scoring position. That'll be out of play, and it's 1-1 on Paulo.
Well, Royals have had a difficult time with runners in scoring position this year, but not Paulo. Paulo's been aggressive, and he's coming through. He's 3 for 5. He had the right idea there. Took a swing to right field.
Same thing, and it's fouled into the crowd.
And they're pitching him like that on purpose. He don't want these sinkers down low. Paulo hits a ball on the ground, it's going to score him. So he's trying to stay with the high fastball, and he's trying to get the pop up, and he almost got it there. I mentioned earlier in the first 2 games that the Astros have excellent throwing outfielders. All 3 of them throw well.
Breaking ball stayed up, but it's out to Altuve. 2 down, Infante goes to 3rd. And now Alcides Escobar. We remind you, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Twice tonight, Feldman has gotten Escobar to pull the ball on the ground. He is grounded to short and grounded to 3rd. Let's see if Esky tries to go the other way. He goes up the middle, and Feldman is able to stay on his feet after making a tough play. And that's the inning. So the Royals get a 1-out double. Infante is stranded at 3rd. And at the end of 4.5, still no score. Royals baseball is brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Ready for a great deal on a new Ford? Then it's time to go to Thoroughbred Ford. And by Steel Outdoor Power Equipment. Find a servicing Steel dealer at steeldealers.com or search STIHL. No score, bottom of the 5th inning. Houston took game 1 on Monday. The Royals won last night. Preston Tucker leads off. And Yordan Ventura flips a curveball for a strike to Tucker, who singled with 1 out in the 2nd inning and then was erased when Gomez grounded into a double play. One ball and 1 strike. Tonight, the Astros have to be prepared for anything between 79 and 97 miles an hour. Got a piece of Eric Cooper, the home plate umpire. Salvador Perez checks to see if he's all right. Grounded right to Moustakas, who's at his old position, shortstop, and he gets Tucker for the first out.
Early in the opening of our show, we talked about the adjustments that Ventura has made from last year to this year. This is last year. Watch how he steps forward with his left foot. Okay, he steps forward, gets his toe hold on the rubber, and then he comes home. Now that's a good pitch right there, but now he's stepping back, and as a result, he's more comfortable, and he's able to, his arm's able to get in the right slot. Before it was a little bit behind, and he wasn't real comfortable with his command. So Dave Island and Giordano worked on it in spring training, and he feels much more comfortable with a step back instead of a step forward. So whether you're a hitter or a pitcher, you're always making adjustments in this game. Game of adjustments.
Changeup. Man, he's got a good one tonight.
Sure does.
The way Gomez swings, he might hurt himself.
Yeah.
Swinging at Ventura's changeup. Back with a fastball. He didn't get the call, but we just saw Gomez put a fastball swing on a changeup, and I think he just took a fastball right here, HUD, expecting a changeup. That thing surprised him.
Yeah, at 98. Salvi, nice job of trying to make it work back there. Ooh, man.
I don't know if he was trying to swing at that ball or use his bat to protect himself.
I don't know, but he's getting a little smirk out of Gomez. That was tough.
7 million blades of grass. That's not specific enough.
Nope.
Nope.
It's a general guess.
Nope.
How about trying the oranges up on the train back
right
there? Yeah.
Right. All right. Our real trivia question. Brought to you by Sprint. Yordan Ventura won his first big league game here in 2014. Who is the only other Royal to earn his first win at Minute Maid Park? And that was in 2010. A reliever from 2010 is the clue.
Oh, they're helping us a little. Bruce Chin.
Good for you guys.
Never heard of the guy. really had.
I remember him. He also pitched briefly with the Seattle Mariners. Kanakoa Teixeira. Well, that was before you were here. That was 2 years before you came to the Royals.
Yep.
Ouch. And he already has some protection on that right leg, lower right leg.
I wonder if he got that, where he got that exactly. Might have been on his toe.
Yeah, right. The ankle bone.
Yeah, instep there.
So Valbuena is going to stay in as he limps back to the batter's box. Ventura has retired 9 of 10, and he's 3-2 on Valbuena with 2 down. With just 64 pitches.
So if you're Valbuena, you're thinking, all right, I got to look fastball because I want to hit that if it's down the middle. And if he throws any of those other ones, I'm just going to try to fight it off. Ooh. Takes the walk.
Sounds like a little Harlem Globetrotter bat flip there for ball 4. Ventura's second walk. Well, the next time you want to grab Royals seats, get the StubHub app. Not only will you find seats you'll love whenever you want, you can find the best seat for your buck when you sort by best value. We take the price and location of seats and show you which tickets at StubHub give you the best deal. So get the StubHub app today. Strike to Jason Castro. He walked against Ventura back in the 3rd inning.
'67th pitch coming. That's good for Giordano.
He threw 98 pitches to get through 5 innings on Friday. Oh. So think about that. He had 30 pitches more than basically where he is right now.
Well, you know, he knows. Wade Davis threw 33 pitches last night. And he's going to try to do his best to go as deep as he possibly can. Save those arms in the pin a little bit.
Curveball. Castro strikes out. Ventura has struck out 5 in 5 scoreless innings. So on to the 6th. Still no score in Houston.
Castro, you got to go.
Time to shine, been waiting on
Pretty good, huh, Hud? We did that without even rehearsing.
Yeah, like it.
All Giordano Ventura and Scott Feldman combined 6 hits through the first 5 innings and 9 strikeouts. Ventura has 5, Feldman has 4. He'll get Moustakas, Kane, and Hosmer in the 6th inning. Mike Moustakas has one of the Royals' 4 hits. 3 of the 4 hits have been doubles. A leadoff double in the 2nd inning and 1-out doubles in the 1st and 5th innings. But nobody across home plate against Feldman. Fouled it off of his foot. 1 ball and 1 strike.
So putting that cutter, Feldman, exactly where he wants it.
Our Sonic Slam inning contestant is Joe McAdams from Sugar Creek, Missouri. And if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Joe wins $300. If the Royals hit a grand slam, Joe wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Royals.
So with good command of his cutter in on lefties and away on righties, it's the curveball that's the one maybe they'll be looking for if he hangs one. He's made a few mistakes with the curve.
Late movement. 2-2.
Continues to stay inside on Moose.
Three balls and 2 strikes.
He hasn't pulled out that split finger. Haven't seen that yet. That's his least used pitch.
Hit well to right field, and Springer, fighting the lights, literally made the play, and I think he's lucky the ball was hit right at him. I think for most of that, the distance of that ball heading in his direction, I don't know how much of the time he saw it.
Well, you know, we talked about the LED new lighting here, the system, and I don't think Springer's going to complain too much about it. It's his home park, but I know I talked to the Royals, Hosmer and Gordon, and they're not real fans of it. It's just too bright. If you look at it too long and you look down, you see dots, and the dots are white. So when you look up and try to pick up the ball and in another pitch, you know, sometimes you're going to miss it.
It's like looking at the sun after a while. You just can't. You only look at it for about a second. It starts burning your eyes.
Yep. Gordon said he hadn't been tested in it yet, but Haas said he didn't like it.
1-1 on Lorenzo Cain. He didn't like that call, but we noticed in the 1st inning that Eric Cooper's strike zone was favoring the pitchers. Lorenzo has struck out swinging and flied out to right on his 30th birthday. Grounded past Valbuena and into left field. Cain is on with 1 out.
Fastball, a rare one that was straight, and it was up in the zone, and that's the one you want to hit. Hit it right by Valbuena.
Eric Hosmer has struck out, and he is singled up the left field line.
That went right over the third base bag. Rasmus made a nice play on it to hold him to a single.
Hit well to right center. That ball is down. It'll get Kane to third. So Eric Hosmer has another hit. He has 6 hits in this series. And the Royals have runners at first and third with 1 out.
And he barreled that. That would have scored Kane easily. But again, the sinker baller, sometimes the hitter's out ahead and he hits it off the end of the bat. But it was right down the middle. So now Kendrys Morales comes up with Correa and Altuve playing on the right side of the infield. There's a huge hole in the shortstop area. Okay, and he sees that. He didn't want to hit into a double play, so he wants to keep his hands from rolling over, from pulling the ball. Look for something out of way, and he'll just go with it. Going to stay away from him.
Feldman. High throw. That might score 2. Hosmer's going to be held. Hosmer made a wide turn around third. He was thinking about it. So Feldman made a good play coming off the mound. He made a good play to make sure Kane stayed at third. And then he made a bad play.
He did. And Morales had the right idea. He was trying to shoot it in that hole over there. And Feldman made an inadvisable throw, an attempt off balance on your heels like that. You never know where it's going to go. You got to get your feet. You had time with Morales running, but he makes this play without stopping. He's on his heels and he just flung it from the side. He was asking for trouble there, and he got it. All he had to do was just gather himself, set his feet better, and make a better throw. And he had plenty of time to get him. So he rushed it. And it looked like he was walking a little gingerly back to the rubber. I don't know if he's okay or not, but I think Strom, the pitching coach, is thinking he's all right. But you make those mistakes against the Royals and they make you pay usually.
Well, he had some knee trouble last year. He was out for almost 2 months in the middle of the season with right knee surgery, and that was the second time he's had surgery on that right knee. They're going to put Alex on and hope for a ground ball double play with Salvador Perez coming up. This will be Feldman's first walk.
Yeah, and you know, in September 10th, excuse me, in 2010 in September, he went on the disabled list with a bone bruise in his right knee, and then he underwent microfracture surgery on his right knee. And that set him out for a long time. And then he's also dealt with shoulder problems. You name it, he's been on the DL a lot in his career. Loaded it up. Salvador doesn't want to get too big with his swing here. Altuve, he's looking into the dugout at Richie Dower, their infield instructor, and wanting to know where to play him. So he's kind of staying up there towards the middle. Salvador hoping to find a hole somewhere. So this is a situation right here where if there's 1 out, you want to look up in the zone. Make him get the ball up. He wants you to hit it on the ground.
Up and in. Salvi first time up with a runner at second, 1 out, fouled out to the catcher. Second time up, lined out to Gomez in center field. Good take. That's probably not the pitch he's looking for.
Nope. That was a good spot for Feldman.
Into left field. Rasmus to the track. Salvi didn't quite get enough of it, but it's deep enough to score Hosmer, and the Royals lead is 2-0. Very, very close to a slam in the Sonic Slam inning.
Oh, it was, and I forgot all about that. Oh, man, that would have been beautiful. But he did the right thing. He's looking up in the zone. Feldman didn't want to throw it there belt high, and he's fortunate that ball stayed in the yard. Salvi didn't quite barrel that, but good enough. Two-run lead, 6th inning. Ventura, good pitch count tonight. Usually not a good recipe for the opponents.
Infante has Morales at second base, Gordon at first. Breaking ball for a strike. Omar doubled his last time up. He grounded to short in the 2nd inning. Royals are getting a longer look at that breaking ball this 3rd time through the order. They're not chasing that pitch like they were earlier in the game.
No, and that's the pitch that Infante hit for a double down the line. It was a hanger right belt high.
And now 2 balls and 1 strike. Three and 1. Orlando is on deck. 87 pitches for Feldman. Nobody warming up in the Astros dugout. Astros bullpen, that is, or in the dugout.
Yep. The bullpen's quiet.
Popped him up. I think that's the pitch Infante wanted. It was up in the strike zone and out over the plate. Correa brings it down. So Feldman limits the damage. With 1 out, Kane single to left. He's scored on the air by Feldman. And then Salvador Perez sac fly scores Eric Hosmer for a 2-0 Royals lead. Pitches with the lead for the first time tonight as the Astros come up in the bottom of the 6th. And Kia puts us in the driver's seat.
How about that? He's so good with his changeup and the command and location of it. He's throwing it any pitch. 3-2, doesn't matter. 2-0, and he's getting these guys to swing at it, and it's causing fits for him. Hopefully it keeps it up.
5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, no runs, 5 strikeouts. And the most impressive thing about Ventura through 5 innings is his pitch count. 30 fewer pitches tonight through 5 innings than on Friday against Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, those walks hurt him in that first outing.
I would imagine if push comes to shove, Wade Davis would be available tonight after throwing over 30 pitches. But if they could avoid him and Ventura can go deep, the Royals could tack on some runs.
That would be nice. You know, we don't know because Ned's not going to tell us before the game who's available and who's not, because sometimes that word gets out to the opponents. But he has plenty capable arms to get the job done at the end. Ooh, man.
Jose Altuve hits it off the railroad tracks in left field. He had 15 home runs last year. That's his second this year, and the Astros answer right away with a run back in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah. You know, he may not be the largest baseball player, but big surprises come in small packages. That's an excellent swing on a hard fastball that generated a lot of power, and he got it all. He knew it. Ventura just stuck his glove up, looking for another ball from the umpire.
Strike 2, Springer. Last night the Astros did not hit a home run for the first time this year. And now they have a home run to make it a 2-1 game in the bottom of the 6th. Springer is 0 for 2. Fooled badly. Change up away. 6 strikeouts for Yordano Ventura, so he comes right back after the Altuve home run. Don't forget, great seats still remain when the Royals return home beginning on Tuesday against the Tigers, and then the following weekend against Baltimore. The homestand includes a Buck night, a replica World Series trophy giveaway night, and much more. And remember, to better accommodate families with children, all weekday home games in April and September will start an hour earlier at 6:15. So if you're thinking about going out next Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, 6:15 first pitch, not 7:15. So you can get the kids out to the ballpark and get them back in bed in time on a school night. Carlos Correa has grounded to second base and flied to the wall in right field. Jammed and hits it right to Alex Gordon. Shows you how strong he is. I mean, that was in on the knuckles, and he almost got it to the warning track in left field.
Yep, he takes a good rip.
Two down to Colby Rasmus. That's about all he's seen tonight from Ventura. Giordano threw him 4 straight curveballs in the first inning and struck him out. And then Rasmus flied to center in the 4th. Breaking ball dips low. 2-0. Overthrew it. 3-0. Four-pitch walk. 3 walks for Giordano Ventura. 2 of them have been on 4 straight pitches. Don't forget to vote for the Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com. You can register to win a majestic prize pack. And now Tyler White, 0 for 2. Popped up and out of play.
Had a chance to meet him today, Tyler White. I had an opportunity right before he stepped in for batting practice, and I ran over to him and congratulated him on his great start. And Alonzo Powell, their assistant hitting coach, was staying there, and he said, "Hud, do you have any advice for him?" And I said, "Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, hey, young man, here's a little key. Carry yourself like you're hitting 350 like you are now when you're 0 for 20. Carry yourself the same way in the clubhouse. Okay, because you're watched more when you fail than when you succeed. Anybody can carry their self with their chest pumped up when you're going good. But when you're going bad, they watch how you act. Don't let them know. Just carry yourself the same way all the time."
1-2, especially a young player, because he's done so well. I bet the coaching staff is wondering, okay, well, when he's not hitting 500, how's he going to handle it?
Right. Because believe me, in this game, humble pie awaits all.
I'd imagine that he has already been humbled. We've told you the story how he was a walk-on in college, no scholarship, and then taken in the 33rd round. 997th player taken 3 years ago. And there's a base hit to left field. He got on top of a high fastball. So White is 1 for 3, and the tying run is in scoring position with 2 outs.
Salvador Perez wanted this ball away. Watch him where he puts his glove. He's saying, "All right, listen, you know, you're ahead 1-2. Don't give him anything too good." And he was right over the middle of the plate.
It's the second time tonight, and it's going to happen. I mean, no pitcher is perfect with his location, but twice where Salvi's been very emphatic about the pitch being away. Remember the double 2-out Altuve in the first inning, same thing. The ball leaked back over the middle of the plate. Here's Preston Tucker. And he's behind a fastball at 95.
You know, you're a hitter. You can't see what the catcher's doing behind you. You're just looking out over that plate for something. He was ready. White was ready. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys swing and miss through his fastball. But he's short to the ball with his stroke. Good swing.
And now it's 0-2.
Be nice to go up there with one of those bicycle mirrors that you see the guys riding the bike. They have a little mirror on their helmet where they can see traffic coming. That'd be beautiful if you could do that. I don't think that would work.
It's the first time all game Ventura has faced more than 4 hitters in 1 inning. Breaking ball just inside. Ventura faced only 4 in the first, 3 in the second, 4 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 4 in the fifth, and now this is his 6th batter in the 6th. So he has not been in trouble at all tonight except for this inning.
No, but he looks extremely confident.
Grounded just foul.
This curveball Tucker did a nice job with. You know, you're just speeding his bat up. You might just stay with fastballs up and away on this guy. Because he almost hit that ball down the line for a double. Ventura's had success with his fastball on him, blowing it by him. See if he goes to it.
A little behind it at 95. Ventura's at 91 pitches. First time he's gone 20 or more pitches in an inning. Look at that. 14, 10, 12, 15, 17. That's right where you want to be.
Yeah.
Change up, pulled foul. 15 or fewer an inning, good. 10 or fewer, great. 20 or more, bad. Unless you only do it once a game. Or once, 1 inning per game. But you start piling up the 20 pitch innings and it's going to be a short night.
Yeah, Ned and Dave Island are talking about who's getting up now. But Tucker, he's doing a nice job of battling Giordano Ventura. He's up there trying. He's got a piece of everything. Foul.
Up the middle, but the Royals had him played perfectly. No out, but the ball stays on the infield. So the shift was right because Tucker hit it hard up the middle, but it was right at Escobar. So he's hit with an error, and the inning continues.
Now that's a rare error, but you know the ball hopped up on Escobar at the last minute, and he couldn't handle it. And he was, you know, his footwork, he was a little bit stationary, waiting for the ball to come to him. Usually he's moving his feet into the play, but you know, sometimes the ball hops up on you, there's not much you can do. But at least he kept it in front of him, giving Ventura a chance to help him himself.
So the Astros get an extra out. What will they do with it? Carlos Gomez rounded into a double play in the 2nd inning, and Ventura just overmatched him when he struck him out in the 5th. Breaking ball down and away.
This is Houston's big opportunity right here. See if Ventura can continue to execute down in the zone.
Changeup. That pitch gave Gomez trouble when he struck out in the 5th. This is good a changeup as I remember Ventura having.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that's really impressing me tonight is Ventura's mentality, his mound presence. He's not getting too carried away. He's not getting emotional. He's keeping his focus.
Thank you. 1-2.
Wow. That was a thank you. Guy with this kind of hitting ability, if he puts a bunt down, well, better have been a good one.
And on a breaking ball down and away, I mean, at some point you have to realize that's not a buntable pitch, right? I mean, Moustakas is back, so you put a bunt down, you get a run. Okay, good play. He's not really swinging the bat well, but at some point you got to realize I can't bunt this pitch.
That's a compliment to Ventura and his stuff.
Thought about it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rasmus is at third. He walked. White is at second. And Tucker is at first. Tucker reached with an error, which could have ended the inning, should have ended the inning. So bonus time for the Astros. 3-2. What pitch do you like here?
Changeup. Fans have gotten out of their seats. They know. Ventura has a chance to do it himself. He can execute.
Check swing. Infante gets Gomez, and you're right, Hud. It was a changeup. So the Astros get 4 outs essentially, and they get just the 1 run on the home run by Altuve. So Ventura hangs in there and limits the damage.
Donald Ventura's night is over, a successful one, just like we promised you earlier in the game. It's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. We'll switch sports here just a little bit. That's the visiting locker of Danny Duffy, a very old picture of Kobe Bryant when he was young, and the Kobe Bryant t-shirt hanging in Danny Duffy's locker. He has more Kobe Bryant gear than would seem possible. And in the case of Mike Moustakas and Danny Duffy, 2 Los Angeles natives, today very special for them because their hero, their childhood sports hero, Kobe Bryant, tonight playing in his last game. Danny Duffy said that Kobe an inspiration to his career, just watching the work ethic and the practice habits, and he's blown away by the fact that he says, I was 7 years old when Kobe Bryant began his NBA career. I'm now a 27-year-old pitcher in the major leagues, and he's first retiring. And Mike Moustakas said, today should be a national holiday. I'm not sure that we would all agree with that necessarily, but I think the point is this, and Ryan, I don't know for you, if you had a basketball hero growing up, certainly a lot of Dodgers in LA, but I'm sure it was a Magic Johnson or Kareem or someone like that. Michael Cooper. But this generation never saw those guys play. And so for Mike Moustakas, Danny Duffy, and so many others, this is the end of an era for Kobe Bryant. And Luke Hochevar was giving Danny a hard time. You're going to get emotional, aren't you? He said no, but he'd love to meet him one day and would just say thank you for all that you've done.
Yeah, I grew up in LA during Showtime. Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, James Worthy, Jamal Wilkes, Norm Nixon. But my favorite, and Michael Thompson, who's Trace Thompson's father, but my favorite was Michael Cooper with those white socks pulled up below his knees, and he had the strings from his shorts that were hanging out, and that's how I went to school every day, with my white socks pulled up below my knees and the strings hanging out of my shorts.
There you go.
That might be too much information.
What about you didn't wear goggles?
Like Kurt Rambis?
Like Kurt Rambis?
Yep. Like Kurt Rambis. Showtime. Chick Hearn. Lakers. Their gold jerseys with purple numerals and lettering moving from right to left on the simulcast.
Wow.
It was simulcast radio and TV at the same time.
You and Danny could have a great conversation.
We'd have a better conversation about Lakers basketball with Dan Senior Duffy than I would Danny Duffy.
Haven't seen Dan Senior.
I saw him in spring training. I saw him. Yeah, he was at a game in Glendale when the Royals were playing the White Sox, enjoying some spring training with some buddies.
Yeah, beautiful people.
Mrs. Duffy, Deanna, let him have some time with the boys in Arizona. 2-2 on Paulo Orlando. 95 pitches now thrown by Scott Feldman. And they're ready in the Astros bullpen. Pat Neshek on the left. Tony Sipp is on the right. It'll be Paulo Orlando, Alcides Escobar, and Mike Moustakas. Hard hit right to Altuve. One down.
This would be a whole different ball game had Feldman got his feet underneath him, made an accurate throw to first base.
You know, we talked a lot about Tyler White, and for good reason, being drafted in the 33rd round. Scott Feldman was a 30th round pick out of the College of San Mateo in the Bay Area 13 years ago. And remember that coaching staff, the hitting and catching coach was Bill Duplessis, the Royals video coordinator. Yeah. Daniel Nava also was at the College of San Mateo. So Duper's put two guys in the big leagues.
How about it? And now he's helping his Royals get another World Series title.
His father was an FBI agent, so he was born in Hawaii, but he grew up in the Bay Area. But technically, when you talk about Hawaiian born players like Kanakoa Teixeira, he was the subject of our trivia question tonight. Scott Feldman is a Hawaiian native, but spent most of his childhood in the Bay Area, where the Royals will head after the game tomorrow. 2-1 on Alcides Escobar.
Nava's playing left field for the Angels. They're heading to Minnesota to play the Twins. How the Twins doing?
Twins are down 3-0 in the 7th inning.
They had an off day yesterday. Perfect time for them. Regroup.
Atlanta lost today. So they are 0-8. 2-2 on Escobar.
And Scott Feldman, he's got excellent pitch counts for his innings, except for the 6th inning. He threw 23, but he's pitching a heck of a game.
Let me make a correction. Bill Duplessis, of course, is the Royals replay coordinator. I said video coordinator, so I didn't mean to fire Mark Topping.
Oh, right. I didn't catch that.
Sorry about that, Topper.
Billy's hot. He's 1 for 1.
How about that swing? Get down. Base hit. If Escobar doesn't hit that ball, it's in the dirt.
He is the king of the booty knock. He gets some of the best hits off balance than anyone. Backside flies out open. Just go ahead and throw the head of that bat.
Watch Castro, Hud. He's getting ready to block that ball in the dirt.
That's a beautiful thing, but that really upsets the pitcher.
Chevy call to the bullpen. It's the lefty Tony Sipp to face Mike Moustakas with 1 on, 1 out. 1 here in Houston, and now Panera will take us around the league. The Angels beat the A's 5-1. The Angels are 5-4. It was Detroit over Pittsburgh. That puts they're in the bottom of the ninth. Detroit hoping to go to 5-2. Boston trying to end the Orioles 7-0 start, and Chicago close to sending Minnesota to 0-8. And as we just mentioned, Atlanta has lost, so they are 0-8. Tony Sipp came on in the 8th inning in game 1 with the Astros way ahead, and he gave up a 2-run home run to Kendrys Morales. We get Mike Moustakas with Escobar at first, 1 down, and throw a slider down and away.
Yep, most lefties, when they come in to face a lefty, it's going to be sliders or curveballs away and fastballs in. He's got some good life to his fastball. Sipp 88-93. He's got a little split finger that he'll mix in.
That slider's in for a strike.
Sliders and breaking balls that start at you at your hip are going to be strikes. The ones that start out over the plate are going to be off the plate and away. He'll use that fork ball he's got, that little split finger, to right-handed hitters. Sliders to lefties.
That might have been a changeup or a splitter right there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Moustakas has only faced Sipp once in the regular season, and Sipp walked him.
You can see Sipp holding that split finger, the ball behind his back, and they do that to play mind games with the hitters. And then that's when the hitter really pays attention to the glove. Once he gets out, gets his sign, and then he comes back and puts his ball in the glove, the hitter's always watching that glove and those fingers to see if there's any movement or if there's any narrowing of the glove or any fanning open of the glove. I mean, so hitters try to pick up stuff like that, especially anytime the pitcher shows you the ball.
Over the inside. Moustakas didn't like it. It's been a big zone all night. And that's all Sipp is going to be asked to do, as A.J. Hinch is out of the dugout immediately.
Yep, a little bit too close. Good pitch.
Pat Neshek is another Chevy call to the bullpen. He'll come on to face Lorenzo Cain. An MLB on FS1 doubleheader as the defending AL East champion Blue Jays take on David Ortiz and the Red Sox. Then it's an NL East battle between the Braves and the Marlins that you can see on FS1. It all starts Saturday at 2:30 on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Pat Neshek against Lorenzo Cain. That's his trademark pitch there with that funky arm angle and sliders away to right-hand batters.
Better believe it. 87 to 93. He'll sink his fastball in, try to, and then he's got the sliders away and occasional changeups at 65 to 67 miles an hour. So he's tough to hit. He's going to work on the outside part of the plate, and you don't see too many guys with his type of delivery. Lorenzo Cain's got him a hit on his birthday. He'd like a little bit more if he could. Tough guy to pull unless he makes a mistake up.
2-1. Back with a fastball.
That's the one.
Lorenzo was thinking slider again.
Yeah, but a little straighter, but you had a little bit of downward movement in, a little into the middle, but right down the middle. That's when Lorenzo won. Probably won't see that one again.
Neshek gets the job done. He strikes out Cain right after Sip comes on to strike out Moustakas. Stretch time in Houston. The Royals lead is 2-1. This was a big play tonight. Scott Feldman trying to throw out Kendrys Morales, threw it away, leading to a couple of unearned runs. A run scored on that play, then a sacrifice fly by Salvador Perez. Yordano Ventura gave up 1 run in his 6 innings. A long home run to left by Jose Altuve.
Man, that was nice. Short, compact. That was a beauty.
So bottom of the 7th inning, the Astros are into the Royals bullpen. It's Luke Hochevar. This could mean something, or it could mean nothing, that Hochevar is on for the 7th. It could mean something in that maybe one of the trio of Herrera, Soria, or Davis is not available. When I say it could mean nothing, Hochevar was warming up as Ventura was in trouble in the 6th inning, and Ned Yost hates to get a pitcher hot, meaning he's warmed up and ready to come into the game and then not use him. So that might be why Coach Shaver's pitching the 7th. We'll see. Valbuena hits it to center field, shallow. Kane is there. Valbuena is 0 for 2 with a walk. Our most trusted players, brought to you by Honda. Last night, the Royals bullpen pitched 4 innings and gave up 1 hit.
They were dealing. They're doing what they're supposed to do. And that 1 hit was a fastball down the middle, but didn't hurt him. Another 1-run game.
Jason Castro hits that well. Right center field. It is in the ballpark. Kane runs up the hill to get it. And Castro hit it to the right spot. He is safe. Castro has a 1-out triple.
Boy, that ball, it landed up on Taos Hill. Royals did an excellent job by almost getting him, but check it out now. Lorenzo Kane, he's going to call off Paulo Orlando. But a great relay throw to Escobar. And Escobar with a heck of a throw to Moustakas. It almost got him at 3rd. He had plenty of time to get the triple. And the Royals almost threw him out. Big hit there. That's going to bring the infielders in. Opens up the opportunity for the Astros to get another one on the board with Altuve up. Contact hitter. Brisnick coming in. Doing a lot of talking over there. You never know. Altuve handles the bat well. Could try a bunt, squeeze. It's always an option. Got to have the right guys in the right spot for that. Altuve handles the bat well.
Royals will bring the infield in. Altuve is a tough hitter to strike out.
I'm not going to try anything like that. I'm going to let him swing away. He's such a good contact hitter that with the infield drawn in like that, his chances are better really swinging through it. Coach going to have to really concentrate here. Big curveball, cutters away.
Breaking ball up, didn't get it.
He took a rip. He pulled his head off that one big time, but he was looking for something up. No question about it.
Throws it again. 1-2.
Beauty.
He really had a feel for that pitch last night.
Sure did, man. That's right on the black on the outside part of the dish. Perfectly located. Keep it down. Take your chances. He hits it at one of the infielders. Could he triple up with it?
He does. Base hit. A 1-2 pitch. Altuve's digging for 2. And Kane's throw was wild. Altuve, I think, caught the Royals off guard.
Salvi called for the 3rd straight curveball on Altuve, and he left it up. He wanted it in the dirt and wanted it on the ground, but it ended up being a hanger right over the middle. So he did what he wants to do. He just makes some contact. And now with the ball hit to Kane's right, this guy gets after it. You gotta love that. This guy, Altuve, he never is happy with a single, and he can fly. He's gonna pressure Kane into making an overthrow. And now if he makes a perfect throw, he gets him, but still, you gotta love that kind of play. And that's why the Houston Astros, in my opinion, have the same type of team that the Royals have. These guys play with energy. They have fun playing. They're into the same matchup. These two teams could very well be there at the end like last year. No question about it.
George Springer with Altuve at second base, one out. Cutter.
That one was perfectly located. That was down and away off the middle of the plate.
We just showed you the Royals bullpen last night in 4 great innings. Only gave up 1 hit. And now the Astros have 2 hits against Hochevar in the 7th inning tonight. Chop foul, and now Hochevar's ahead again, 0-2.
If he buries the curveball, he might get him to swing and miss at it. He just left it up.
Weakly hit ground ball.
Right. Belt high.
Terribly offended by that move.
Coach just letting him know he knows he's there now. I wouldn't expect him to try to rip off third, or however, you never know. Altuve, he's unpredictable.
Wouldn't be a bad idea with count 0-2. Might get a pitch down here. Not going. Check swing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him. 2 down.
Excellent cutter.
That would have been a good spot for Altuve.
Yeah, you know, thinking about that, but Salvi had the right. He called the right pitch. If Hoch would have bounced it, if he'd have dropped it in there, Salvi's really good at blocking it. Pitchers that throw to Salvador Perez don't have to worry about big curves or sliders in the dirt because he's so good at blocking the ball. Pitchers don't even worry about throwing that pitch with a tying run to third base. If he would have executed his pitch, it might have got the job done.
Carlos Correa takes a 4-seam fastball outside, ball 1.
But whenever you throw 3 curves in a row to a hitter, he's timing it, he's seeing it, and
so you got to put it in different spots.
Yeah, you have to move it around. You can't leave it out there like that. He timed it perfectly.
Correa is 0 for 3. He almost hit a home run to right in the 4th inning. Cutter, 1-1. And it looked like he was taking a shot at right field with that swing. Jose Altuve down 1-2 with a hustling double to drive in Marisnick from third to tie the game. Royals led 2-0 at the end of 5 1/2, and now the Astros have scored 1 run in each of the last 2 innings.
Altuve now he's getting more of a lead.
Again, Correa, like he was taking a shot at right field. And Hochevar, to his credit, he's been ahead of the hitters in this inning. He's only made a mistake to Altuve. They've hurt him. Castro's triple, you don't expect a catcher to hit a triple, but he just hit it in the right spot.
And if Altuve wants to steal third, let him. Don't even throw it down there. You got 2 strikes, 2 outs, 3 outs.
And now Correa's upset with Eric Cooper. Cooper heard it from Mike Moustakas last half inning. So it could have been worse. The Astros get 1 to tie it. Middle of the order coming up. It's 2-2 to the 8th inning. challenge Jason Castro, who was struggling. Castro gets a triple. And then he made the mistake to Jose Altuve. Otherwise, he struck out 2 in the inning, and the Astros tie it in the bottom of the 7th. A Mazda game break. We go out to Safeco Field. Dae-Ho Lee. It's a 2-run walk-off home run in the bottom of the 10th inning. And Seattle beats Texas 4-2. Seattle had lost 5 in a row. So their record improves to 3-6. Eric Kratz takes over behind the plate after the Castro triple. Marisnick ran for him. And this is Ken Giles in his first season with the Astros after coming over in a trade with the Phillies.
You like a fastball, this kid possesses one. He'll go 95 to 97. He's got a slider to go with it.
There's the slider.
Fastball straight from the scouting reports I get. Slider didn't look like it had a lot of break to it. But let's see what the heater looks like. Straight at 98. Just what the Royals like.
Rick Hosmer has 2 hits and a run scored tonight. He is 6 for 11 in this series. Up the middle, Correa was played that way. Throws a strike over to White, and there's one down. Hosmer's 2 for 4.
Kevin Jepsen of the Minnesota Twins came in that 3-game series, and I think it was in game 1 or game 2, and the Royals just loved that 95-mile-an-hour fastball. They tagged it all over the yard. We'll see if they can have some success there. Haas hit it good, but right at it.
There's Herrera getting ready for the bottom of the 8th inning. And now Giles and Kendrys Morales. First 2 hitters have seen a first pitch slider. Kendrys doubled in the 2nd inning. He reached on that throwing error by Feldman in the 6th, which opened up the inning for the Royals, and they scored 2. Down to chase a bad one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Three straight sliders. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's the key pitch for him, because he can throw 98 to 100, but if that's all he has, as you pointed out, there's not hardly any movement with that fastball.
Nope. A quick pitch there.
2 down. Tonight's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, Joe Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery inside Minute Maid Park with producer Joe Vencius, director Steve Kurtenbach, our associate producers Al Broughton, Sam Abramson, Dave Holtzman, and the producer of Royals Live, Brian Shapiro. 98 miles an hour from Giles to Alex Gordon, 0 for 2 with an intentional walk. .96 over the outside, 1-1. Giles made his big league debut for the Phillies 2 years ago, and then he saved 15 for Philadelphia last year when Jonathan Papelbon was traded to the Nationals. And it looked like Giles and Luke Gregerson, who was the Astros closer last year, were in competition in spring training, and A.J. Hinch decided to stay with Gregerson. His slider is good tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, this being his debut at home here, he's wanting to be sharp as he can be.
.97.
I can see the success that he's had with his slider down low, and then he raises the eye level of the hitter and throws that heater at 98 right up there at the top. He's got a little bit of Kelvin Herrera in it. Minus the changeup, but it's a slider.
Low. Giles started walking off the mound. Not even close.
This is a perfect spot, man. That's right where you want it. Oh well.
Salvador Perez, good fastball hitter, is up there with Gordon at first, 2 down. Salvi drove in a run with a sac fly in the 6th inning. His 2nd RBI of the year. The Astros bullpen has had trouble early this season, and in particular keeping the ball in the ballpark. And Giles, in his first 3 appearances, allowed 2 home runs in just 2 2/3 innings. The Astros bullpen has already surrendered 8 home runs. That's 3 more than any other team. Ooh, good swing.
Yeah, that's the one right there. So the fastball being as straight as it is, I can see how he can give up homers. But you got to guess right. And you take an easy swing on him. Salvi just missed it. And a good rip.
One and two.
It's a pretty quick home. It'd be tough to get a jump on and steal on, so at least play it safe and hope Salvi can hit an extra base. If he can hit either one of the gaps, it'd be interesting. Either one of those gaps out there would work.
Or deep left field. Gone! Salvador Perez picked a great time for his first home run of the year. And now the Astros bullpen has given up 9 home runs, and the Royals have another 2-run lead.
And you can hear the Royals crowd and fans here. What a beautiful stroke. Forget the gap. Salvi might have heard that and been a little embarrassed. And you know what? I don't need a gap. I want to touch them all. Timely. That was on the slider. Wasn't even on the fastball. You could tell by looking at Rasmus that he was just looking up in the stands, and that ball wouldn't walk it.
Salvi has driven in 3 of the 4 Royals runs tonight. And for Giles, he's now given up 3 home runs in 3 1/3 innings. That's the pitch he wanted to throw to Salvi. 1 ball, 1 strike to Infante.
Eric Kratz setting down and low and away, and he made a mistake and left it up about 3 inches on the outer half. And Salvi, he can reach that. One and
2 on Infante.
Royals strike back immediately. He said, all right, we can top that. Listen to the Royals fans here at Minute Maid Park.
'97. Ball gets away, and Eric Kratz is down to first. That completes the strikeout. Giles strikes out two, but he gives up two with 2 outs and nobody on. Alex Gordon on a close pitch takes a walk, and Salvador Perez drives him home with a 2-run home run. 6 outs to go. The Royals lead 4-2.
He's a beast.
After the opponent ties the game, they answer immediately. And before Salvador Perez homered, this was a 3-2 pitch to Alex Gordon. And we mentioned in the first inning that it looked like a pitcher-friendly strike zone. Instead of a strikeout, that was ball 4. Salvador Perez. Our cheap drive of the game.
You better believe it. That was a drive, and it was a beauty. Timely. Hey. You know, sometimes you get pitches, sometimes you don't, but he didn't have to make that mistake to Salvi, although I don't think it was a mistake down the middle. It was just a pitch on the outer half, but that's a sign of the world champions right there. That's what they do. They pressure opponents late in games. They're in every one of them, and it doesn't matter who they bring out of the pen. Familia hadn't given up a run in 3 months, and Alex got him. Turned the whole series around. Giles, that kid could be their closer at the end of the year by that time. Gregerson, you know, they're going with a finesse closer, but it really doesn't matter. They do whatever it takes to win.
1-1 from Kelvin Herrera to Colby Rasmus. Rasmus has a home run against Kelvin Herrera. He is 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. 2 balls and 1 strike. Rasmus, White, Tucker, 4, 5, and 6 hitters against Herrera, and it looks like tonight, and we don't know for sure, but it looks like it's going to be Hochevar, Herrera, and Soria, with Wade Davis Going 33 pitches last night for the save. We'll see. And now 3 balls and 1 strike to Rasmus. That was the second blown save for the Royals when the Astros tied the game in the bottom of the 7th. Any lead in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning that is given away constitutes a blown save. It's not just in the 9th inning. Right by him at 96, 3-2.
Yeah, that ball was by him. Good spot. Try it again. It's hard to get on top of that velocity. Sure wouldn't want to face Herrera. He's now with that slider, and he's got confidence in it.
Lead off walk.
He's got 3 very nice pitches. An 81-mile-an-hour slider, 91-mile-an-hour changeup, and 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Remember, you can follow Royals baseball live on your phone and tablet with MLB.com @BAT app. Stay up to the moment with game day, video highlights, StatCast, bilingual access, split views, radio broadcast, news, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Now Tyler White. And Herrera is in with a fastball for a strike. Herrera pitched the 7th inning last night and struck out 2. He did not face Tyler White, so this is the first time these two have matched up. .98, right on it.
He was, and had that fan in back of the screen ducking. That was coming right at him. When you foul a ball straight back like that, you know you're on it. And that guy's telling his buddy right there, thank goodness for the netting. Ooh.
A walk and now a strikeout.
And there's the slider. That time 85. So we saw his slider last night at 81. So anywhere from 81 to 85 is that newfound pitch that he has extreme confidence in.
He was working on it all year last year with Dave Island. Didn't break it out until the middle part of the season, maybe even later than that, the last couple of months. But it was a work in progress all season, and I mean that pitch was good when he started using it in the games right away.
Yeah, and so with the growth that he's experienced mentally over the last 3 seasons, going to the postseason, the World Series back-to-back, he's developing into another closer. Because we always knew his stuff was really good, but he wasn't mentally, he wasn't mature enough. He wasn't ready. Now nerves of steel. You don't see him sweating like he did in his first couple years. He got a little nervous out there, you could tell.
Back-to-back changeups. And now Tucker has the advantage. 2 balls and 1 strike. Tucker is 1 for 3. He's got some power. Everyone has power in this lineup. Got it in on him. 2-2.
Herrera does not have to worry about Kobe Rasmus. He's not going to steal. Only had 2 all year last year. So that kind of helps him. He doesn't have to worry about that.
Changeup. Back-to-back strikeouts. 2 down. Royals had a 2-0 lead After getting 2 unearned runs in the 6th inning, Houston tied it in the 7th inning. After getting single runs in the 6th and 7th, only 1 run against Kelvin Herrera in 6 innings, and then Salvador Perez in the top of the 8th hit a 2-run home run to give the Royals a 4-2 lead. And now Herrera is trying to dispose of Carlos Gomez with Colby Rasmus at first base and 2 down. On the ground to Escobar, the flip to second, and we head to the 9th inning. Herrera works around a leadoff walk. The Royals lead 4-2. Royals baseball is brought to you by Ram Trucks. Guts, glory, Ram. And that's the way things have sped up in the past few innings. No score at the end of 5, and then the scoring began. The Royals scored 2 in the 6th. The Astros got 1 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th to tie it. The Royals got 2 in the 8th on the Salvador Perez home run, and now they come up in the 9th inning against Chris Davinsky. Made his big league debut on Friday at Milwaukee and went 3 scoreless, giving up just 1 hit. And he'll get Paulo Orlando, Alcides Escobar, and Mike Moustakas.
This young man, hey, you never know how far this guy will go. He's got some really good stuff. 92, 93 mile an hour fastball right over the top, but an excellent changeup.
There it is. First pitch to Paulo Orlando.
Yeah, so, you know, and that wasn't a straight change either. That ball had tremendous. It's almost like a screwball. I've heard a lot about him. Got the chance to meet him today. Ooh. It's 94.
In on the hands.
That was some boring inaction. Hit her up like that. That's nice. There's Joaquin.
He'll pitch with at least a 2-run lead. The Astros will send up the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. 1-1. There's that changeup. Man, that thing has a lot of lateral movement to it.
Yes, this kid has a chance for a nice future ahead of him. Plus, he's a very humble guy. Of course, most rookies are, although some have a little swagger. But he came right up to me today and introduced himself before the game. And over there on the side, on their side, I was standing there. He's a
California kid.
Yeah. And from Santa Ana. And his dad owns a moving company. And he helps him move.
But 95.
But wow. I can see that little career that he had with helping his dad move is going to come to an end real soon. Comic-Con fans, join us at the ballpark for the first Planet Comic-Con Kansas City Day on April 24th versus the Orioles. Your theme ticket comes with a Planet Comic-Con themed Royals shirt and game ticket. Cosplay is also encouraged, so come dressed in the costume of your favorite character. You can purchase tickets now at royals.com/theme tickets.
Well done.
Remember, it's all about cosplay. It's encouraged. Ooh, man.
That little guy, he's got his little slugger doll and his binky. It's good to go.
I love it.
Got a little blankie going.
That's his guy.
Ooh, they're having a tough time with this guy. This guy was a 25th round pick by the White Sox.
How does somebody like that slip through that far? It cracks. Wow. Wow. I think he's going to find himself with some elevated stature in that bullpen. He keeps pitching like that. I'd heard about his changeup, but now taking a look at it, it's a beauty. I mean, that fastball is nothing to sneeze at, but the changeup has a parachute on it. This kid will play a huge part of the Astros' success this season.
You know, you have to draft the right players. You have to develop them into major leaguers. You have to make good trades, and then you have to find guys out there and you see something in them that maybe other teams didn't. Remember Colin McHugh? Very little success with the Mets and the Rockies. The Astros saw something in him, and he's won 30 games for them over the last 2 years. And here you go, a 25th round pick with the White Sox. My goodness.
Yeah, you know, that's why scouting is such a science. I mean, it's what the game revolves around, scouting, finding the players. The guys are out there looking.
There's a guy about to come out of the Royals bullpen who's a good example of that. Joakim Soria, a Rule 5 pick, one of the greatest Rule 5 picks in the history of baseball. Yikes. I don't think anyone's feelings will be hurt if we don't see that guy again.
Oh, man.
Joakim Soria on for the save with the Royals leading 4-2.
I mean, you know, it's not just the players as the person. I mean, all these guys, they're really nice guys. They truly take care for each other, and I think that's what it makes us special. I mean, they really pull in for each other, and I haven't been in a bullpen like this.
Now, if you didn't know who that was, you would think that was a young guy coming up. you know, who's done very little in the big leagues. Those are words from the third most prolific closer in Royals history. And if you add up Soria's work with all the teams he's pitched for, he has over 200 career saves. And talking about how much the other members of the Royals bullpen have helped him out. Well, you don't hear things like that from a guy who's as accomplished as he is.
He's a perfect Royals player. He's humble. They knew exactly what they're doing when they acquired him, just as all the other acquisitions that Dayton Moore gets. And no wonder Dayton talks about the scouting team he's got on the Royals. They're the best. They're finding the players they need to defend the flag. It's not just an American League Championship flag either now. Excellent. He's got 4 nice pitches he can use at any time. 2-run lead, really, that's a nice cushion for him. Get a little opportunity to get out there, give him a little breathing room.
Oh, there you go. Salvador Perez put that target right on the dirt, and Soria hit the bullseye.
So really, what Ned has this year, and no wonder Dave Island told me in the spring that his bullpen is deeper. And for a lot of fans, all broadcasters, teams that we've played so far, when I tell them that, they're like, how can they be deeper than they were last year? Well, they've got 4 closers. They got Soria, Poach could close, and so could Herrera and Wade Davis. Got a couple long men. Oh, and a left-hander that throws 97.
There are teams who have pretty good closers around the league that wouldn't be in the top 4 in the Royals bullpen.
Exactly.
Marwin Gonzalez, a switch hitter, is going to bat for Eric Kratz. Popped up. Lorenzo Cain on his 30th birthday. Windmills to call everyone off. And there are 2 down. The Royals have had a pair of 2-run leads tonight. They led 2-0 going into the bottom of the 6th. The Astros got 1 in the 6th. They tied it with 1 in the 7th. And the Royals, as they have done so many times the last 3 years, answered right away on Salvador Perez 2-run home run in the 8th inning for the 4-2 lead, and now 1 out away from a victory. Jose Altuve hit a long home run to left field in the 6th. He has 3 hits tonight, all for extra bases, and he's driven in 2 runs. Caught. Game over. 5 pitches thrown by Soria. Wow. So no drama tonight. Soria gets his 203rd career save, his 161st with the Royals. And now the Royals have a 2-1 advantage in this series. And finally, they don't play a close game. They won by 2.
Hey, what a ball game. Yeah, how about that hug, Ned? There you go. Salvador Perez, go ahead. Carry the boys on your back. Fantastic job behind the dish. Calling pitches. Giordano Ventura, awesome. And there it is. That was the blast. Yeah. Little slider on the outer half. He knew he got it. Little hop there, and man, was that a beautiful thing. So guaranteeing at least a split here. Go for 3 out of 4 tomorrow. Should be interesting to watch this post-game show, and also the Gatorade dumping.
Well, Lorenzo's going to be on with Steve Stewart from the Royals Radio Network, so we'll keep an eye on him, as well as the interview with Joel. And it's going to be Joakim Soria headed in that direction. And HUD, the Royals won. Cain got a hit. He scored a run, and he played hard. Does he get cake and ice cream?
Absolutely. Give him all he wants.
All right, let's go down to Joel.
All right, welcome back, Joakim Soria. Didn't take very long. I think just 5 pitches, but Tell me about being back with these guys and your first save as a Royal since September of 2011.
Oh, it feels good. It feels good to be back to the team that gave me the chance. I feel so grateful for the chance, and I just go out there and help the team.
And you know how great this bullpen is. We just ran a little bit of your interview with Jeff Montgomery from earlier, but did you know going in that you might be closing this one out?
Well, yeah. Dave told me previous the game, and he told me that.
All right, Salvi, you got to stay here. Sorry. Wow, that was a good one. Let's let Joaquin stay. So you knew going in?
Yeah. He told me that the weight was off today, and everything was perfect.
All right, last thing for you too. Your parents are up here. Your parents are up for both. Well, no, that's his parents are up here from Mexico too. How much does it mean when you get a chance to have them visiting?
Well, it means so nice to they have the opportunity to saw me to play pitch today and have the save for them.
All right, we will let you go now that you have your Gatorade bucket. Salvi says you can take that.
Thank you.
Great job, Joaquin Soria. His first save as a Royal since 2011. And then you and your childhood friend, Jose Altuve, did all the damage in this one.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, man. And that not surprised me. He likes to swing, and he's pretty good. You know, he's one of the best second base in the league right now. So, but hopefully we got a win today.
Another great comeback, too. Luke gives up the one run there. You jump right back with the home run. Tell us about the homer.
He's nasty. I don't know who's that guy. That was my first time facing him. But he leave a slide over there, and I hit it pretty good.
They are right now, the fans are singing happy birthday, the Royals fans, to Lorenzo Cain. So I think everybody wants to know, does he get cake and ice cream from Salvador Perez?
Of course. He played good today. He got a base hit, and we got to go to sing happy birthday to him after the ceremony, everything inside.
Your brother?
My brother and for another mother, and Lolo Cain.
Lolo Cain, he was going to get cake and ice cream no matter what, right? He didn't have to hit 2 homers.
Nah, he's going to get the ice cream and cake for sure. He deserves for that.
Salvi, great job with the home run, with the win. Go get him tomorrow.
Thank you.
There you go, Salvador Perez. And let me just say, he threw that with a lot of gusto. There was no escaping that Salvi splash.
Well, I'm glad he's getting his cake and his ice cream.
I am too, but I can't believe that there wasn't 5 guys with Gatorade buckets in there ready to get Salvi for a little payback. But, you know, I guess they're on to the cake and ice cream.
Royals win it tonight 4-2 thanks to the Salvador Perez 2-run home run in the 8th inning, and we will be right back.